Welcome to PE on May 7th. Hope you guys are having a good day so far. Our agenda today, we're going to talk about diabetes today. Just a general overview. We're going to do our mindfulness practice. There is a conditioning piece. Again, we'll talk about the physical challenge that is currently going on with class and finish with your assessment. So our objectives today. You should be able to describe diabetes and identify its causes and remedies. We're going to practice mindfulness, and of course, you're going to increase your muscular strength and endurance. So, diabetes. Let's take a look at three important terms here as far as vocabulary goes. These are important when it comes to dealing with diabetes. All right, glucose. It's just the sugar in your blood that's used as energy. All right. The next one is insulin. It helps the glucose get into the cells so that it can be used for energy. And then the last one is the pancreas. It's an organ that produces the insulin. All right, so in a nutshell, what is diabetes? It's when there's too much sugar in the blood all the time. So how we can look at this. So insulin is the bouncer at a party. Okay, it lets glucose in, right? It opens the door for it, says, hey, come on in, have a great time. When the party is full, it won't let any more glucose in. So those cells are like, dude, we're full up. We can't use any more glucose at this time. So insulin says, hey, you guys just hang out here. Now, while that glucose is hanging out, it's starting to cause some problems. It's making a mess of the area, and the bouncer is starting to get frustrated. So, and it starts to let less and less glucose in because the glucose has been pissing it off. And sometimes the bouncer says, you know what, I've had enough. I'm quitting, right? The insulin shuts down. This is a rough analogy, but basically, again, the insulin allows glucose into the cells of the body so it can be used as energy. When we're consuming too much glucose, we have too much glucose, the insulin can't do anything with it. The insulin becomes resistant to the glucose, and sometimes the pancreas stops producing insulin, and that's our diabetic condition. All right, we have two main types of diabetes. We have type 1, which is also known as juvenile diabetes. We have type 2, which is considered adult onset diabetes. Now, type 1, this is a genetic disorder or an autoimmune response that causes the pancreas to stop producing insulin. So in these individuals, it usually starts early in childhood, and their pancreas either stops working altogether or it just can't produce enough insulin for the individual. It has nothing to do with lifestyle. Again, it's completely genetic, or the body, in an autoimmune response, the body fights its own organs and cells. So how do you manage type 1 diabetes? It's monitored. You use a finger prick and use the blood, and it measures the amount of glucose in the bloodstream. Okay. There's insulin therapy. You'll see if you know someone with type 1 diabetes, they may have an insulin pump that is attached to the outside of their body that constantly is producing or injecting insulin into them. And then diet and exercise are the other ways this is managed. Okay, type 2 diabetes, also known as adult onset diabetes. This is really caused by genetic and lifestyle factors. Now, this again was called adult onset diabetes, but it's seeing more and more in teens, and even tweens, kids younger than their teens. So what are the causes of type 2 diabetes? Well, if there's a family history of diabetes, there's a higher likelihood of an individual getting diabetes, developing diabetes. Okay? It's not a guarantee. It just means that it's another factor for them. Lack of exercise. The individuals that don't exercise, again, another factor that can push them into developing diabetes. A high-fat, high-carbohydrate diet. So if you're regularly consuming high-carbohydrate diet, highly processed foods with a lot of fat, it's another factor that goes into developing diabetes. And then that high-fat, high-carbohydrate diet, lack of exercise also contributes to overweight, high blood pressure, high cholesterol. All of those factors together are a recipe for developing diabetes, or type 2 diabetes. Now, how is it managed? Individuals who are type 2 diabetics, they're going to monitor their insulin levels as well, and their blood glucose. Medicine, insulin therapy, and then diet and exercise. Now, can type 1 or type 2 diabetes be reversed? Type 1 can't, but type 2 can. Okay? It can be prevented as well. But the biggest ones are nutritional modifications and exercise modifications. You know, for the general population, if you adjust those two, highly unlikely that someone will develop diabetes. All right, so let's take a look at the nutrition. Someone should eat a lower to low carbohydrate intake. Fresh vegetables with high fiber content. Meats are great, especially with lower fat meat. That is going to be good nutrition. We're staying away from a lot of packaged foods, staying away from high carbohydrate food, highly refined carbohydrate foods like pastas, breads, packaged cereal. All those types of things tend to raise blood sugar in individuals. The other factor here is exercise, weight training, and high intensity conditioning, right? Both of which you guys are participating in, hopefully, as you follow along with the lessons here. Certainly high intensity conditioning can be done without weight. It can be done with weight, and then just weight training, dealing with increasing that muscle mass through heavy back squats, deadlifts, presses, cleans, snatches, etc. All right, we're going to head into our day 7 of our mindfulness practice.
Take a moment to imagine a bright blue sky stretching off into the distance. Feels pretty good, right? This is a perfect metaphor for the mind, a blank canvas on which thoughts, feelings, and experiences appear. Okay, so maybe there are just a few clouds, but they tend not to bother us or distract us too much, especially if they're the cute little fluffy variety. This is how the mind appears when it's calm, bright, serene, and happy. But life isn't always easy. Sometimes there are a lot more clouds in the sky. Sometimes it might be the dark and stormy variety. Occasionally, we might even begin to wonder if a hurricane's on the way. It gets to the point that it's hard to think of anything else. In fact, sometimes we get so obsessed by the clouds that we forget about the blue sky altogether. But it's still there. Every time you're in a plane and you fly through the clouds, there it is, right? Without fail, blue sky. It's easy to forget that what we're looking for is already here. And that's why we need reminding. Hi, and welcome to session 7 of Basics. Well, very often when we begin meditation, when we begin this kind of exercise, we have a very particular idea of what we'd like to experience or achieve, if you like. And the temptation can be to try a little bit hard to sort of create that feeling, or that quality of mind. But a much more helpful way of looking at this is a little bit like the blue sky and clouds in the sky. The clouds being the thoughts in our mind, and the blue sky being almost like the essence of mind, which is always present. Of course, sometimes we forget what the blue sky looks like, what it feels like. But if we can learn how to sort of be more present and to witness when the mind is drifting off, then over time these clouds start to disperse and we start to experience more of the blue sky. We don't have to create it, we don't have to achieve it, we don't have to produce it, it's already here. It's simply allowing the clouds to pass, becoming more aware of them, and over time they begin to disperse. We start to experience more of the blue sky. So just bringing a little bit of that feeling, that sentiment into your exercise today. Right now though, make sure that you're sitting comfortably, that the eyes are open, nice soft focus. And then when you're ready, just taking some big deep breaths, breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. And with the next out breath, just gently closing the eyes, feeling the weight of the body press down, feet on the floor, and the hands and the arms just resting on the legs. Just taking a moment to settle into the body, settle in to the space around you. Just noticing any sounds and just allowing those sounds to come and go without any kind of resistance. So not thinking about the sounds, simply being present with the sound. And then bringing the attention back to the body. As you check in with the body today, as always, just starting off by noticing whether the body feels heavy, light, restless, still. Just getting a general sense of how the body feels. And then starting at the top of the head, just gently scanning downwards through the body. Not just through the larger parts of the body, but also smaller parts, the ears, the fingers, the toes. As you scan down, just noticing any areas of comfort and also any areas of discomfort. It's a nice even scan all the way down to the toes. And just as we did in the last session, as you're scanning down, still with the focus on the physical sensation, but just noticing if there's any particularly strong emotional quality to the mind. Could be happiness, excitement, sadness, anxiety, doesn't matter what it is. Just using this time of checking in just to notice how the mind feels as you scan down towards the toes. And if you haven't done already, just beginning to notice that movement of breath in the body. A rising and falling sensation. So just noticing where in the body you feel that movement and the rhythm of that movement. And then just beginning to count those breaths as they pass, just to help maintain the focus. Just counting up to 10 each time, and then starting again at 1. Not getting too caught up in the thoughts when you realize the mind's wandered. Remember, the thoughts just like clouds passing in the sky. Just allowing them to come and go. The sense of just sitting with that quality of blue sky, just knowing that it's present. And each time just gently bringing the attention back to the breath again. And then just for a moment now, letting go of any focus, letting go of the breath, and just allowing the mind to do whatever it wants to do. And then just bringing the attention back to the body again. So first just coming back to that contact of weight pressing down against the seat or the floor beneath you, the sensation of the feet on the floor, the hands and the arms on the legs. Noticing the space around you, the sound. And then when you're ready, just gently opening the eyes again. Take a moment, as always, just to pause and notice how you feel. Just to enjoy the quality of mind, that ease in the body, having taken some time out for yourself. And just reflecting as well on how that felt today, whether that idea of blue sky was helpful in any way. To remember, we're not trying to create blue sky. We're simply sitting with the idea that it's already here, that there's nothing to do. We're just patiently watching the clouds come and go, and over time watching as they begin to disperse. But obviously we're only a few days in to your Headspace journey, so there's a pretty good chance that there's still going to be a lot of clouds in the sky. Again, that's perfectly normal. It's quite okay, but hopefully just the idea that blue sky will help, not just in this exercise, but also as you go into your day today as well, hopefully making things feel a little lighter. But I look forward to seeing you back here for your next session, session 8 of Basics.
Today's conditioning piece. You're going to choose 3 exercises again. You're going to use the 30-20-10 rep scheme. So you're going to do 30 of each exercise, then you'll do 20 of each exercise, and then 10 of each exercise. So for example, let's say I decided to do squats, burpees, and a deadlift, right? I'm going to do 30 squats, 30 burpees, 30 deadlifts. Then immediately 20 squats, 20 burpees, 20 deadlifts, then 10 squats, 10 burpees, 10 deadlifts. Okay? I'd like you to do this as quickly as possible using excellent technique. So if the technique starts to break down, take a few extra breaths, reset yourself, and continue with good technique. And then use a stopwatch to see how long it takes. That will be part of the assessment as well. You're going to record how long it took. So remember, today is day 7 of our Progressive Overload Challenge. That means today you are doing 7 push-ups and 14 squats. Again, focus on a great technique for each repetition. You can find the assessment and the link in Schoology, as well as the links to this slideshow, this presentation. And if you'd like to see the replay, again, you can find it on Schoology or on the YouTube channel. Hopefully you guys have a wonderful day. We'll see you next Tuesday.